Okay, awesome.
We on?
Good night again. We seem to have been having some technical difficulties, um, and we want someone to confirm that yes, you are seeing us. Can someone please confirm whether you're seeing us again, because we're trying to get the show restarted. Okay, let me see. It's now live just now. All right.
Are we on?
Well, I think we are on. I can see that Brad Mira, Philip Hall is watching. Amira Smith.
All right.
Lisa Quera, please give us some little thumbs up if you can hear us.
Good night, everybody.
All right. And yes, we can see you, brother. I'm getting now.
Lovely.
Yes, thanks, Philip.
Lovely, lovely.
Thanks very much. Well, let's restart. It is important because we thought we were on live. However, we have been having some technical difficulties. I want to say thank you very much for your patience. As I said, it's a night that most people would want to just pull in bed and cover up, but we are thankful that you have taken the time out to sit and watch. From Studio 21 in the heart of Belmopan, I say welcome and thank you.
Bienvenidos, damas y caballeros, todo mi gente de Belmopan, de la Rivera, Salvapan, San Martín, Las Flores, Mayamopan y Belmopan Central, la capital. Estábamos aquí antes, pero tenía una problema técnica, pero nos vamos a continuar nuestro programa. Estaba explicando en la primera parte la significancia de este día. 5 de julio marca el día que mi papá fue asesinado, ¿sí? Y es un día triste, especialmente cuando me recordar que estaba 4 años pasado durante la última mundial. La mundial, el partido contra Brasil y Alemania estaba la última partido de fútbol que yo podía ver con mi papá. Está un día normalmente que estoy con mi madre y mis hermanos y hermanos, pero este año no puedo tener esta reunión con mi familia allá. Necesito hacer contigo para continuar el proceso, a ser su representante aquí en Belmopan. Conozco que nuestro país ahora no hay, está en una situación muy violenta, ¿no? Mucho crimen, especialmente durante el tiempo de John Saldiva. Parece que esta situación es normal cuando él está en la posición de ministro de Seguridad Nacional. Eso es una de las razones que nosotros necesitamos quitar a este hombre de su posición, porque este hombre no hay ninguna idea para parar el problema que existe, y parece que él está en acordamiento, está contento con la situación en nuestro país. So I say once again good night, and I want you to appreciate that today is a day of great significance for me and my family. It marks the 4th year of my dad's murder. 4 years ago, in Orange Walk, my dad and I watched the football game between Brazil and Germany. It was sad for us because we are big Brazil fans. And this is one of the reasons why I'm looking forward to tomorrow's game between Brazil and Belgium. Rooting for Brazil. One day I hope to root for Belize. I remember famously that one time I came from travels abroad, and I brought with me a dog, a little British bulldog named Churchill.
Churchill, all right.
Yes, and it had to be quarantined, the dog, right? And at the time, British Emilio was the veterinarian, but he was also the president of the Football Association. And I had with me a blueprint of the Juan Moreira Soto Stadium, which is a stadium that my favorite Central American team uses, Liga Deportiva de Alajuelense from Costa Rica. And I was talking to Bertie, and I said, Bertie, when are we going to make it to the World Cup? Bertie said, Belize go to the World Cup every time there's a World Cup. I said, really? Say, yes, man. We're always there. He's talking about the officials. They don't have any care in the world to have our athletes make it. Just like John Saldiva. As much as he says he loves sports, as much as he is a quote-unquote owner of a football team, do you ever wonder why none of his players really go international? We cannot forget what he tried to do with one of the best strikers to come out of Belize in a long time, Dion Macaulay. He went on a personal campaign to destroy Dion Macaulay's career. And you are talking about loving sport? No. He uses sport as a tool of both political and social oppression. His team is like a roach motel. Players go in and they never leave. They're not going to come out the same, and they certainly are not advancing. The bandits, that's what he call it. And I'm not knocking bandits fans. I know that you support the team as we all support our local teams. But you must question why he calls his team the Bandits. Could it be a Freudian slip? An open secret? A true expression of who he really is? A bandit? Just asking. Just asking. So it's for you to answer that. And I think you can answer it quite well.
I'd like to say good night to Philip Paul, listening from Chicago.
Good night, Phil.
Good night from Miss Ioni Ordonez, sorry.
Good night, Miss Ioni.
And from, I think he said New York, we have Emilio Zabani saying greetings.
Thank you, Emilio. Thank you very much, my brother.
We were discussing while we thought that we were on air, we had said we made a call in this particular session. We had called for Miss Melancholy to give her comments.
It's an open call.
Yes.
It's an open call to Miss Melanie Cowie to join us tonight, as she is free to join us any night. Tonight is not the only night. I'll be coming back every Thursday. So it's an open invitation to her to have the matter of her accusation ventilated. Because as I explained before, it was never ventilated in court. There was no arguments. There was no evidence put forward. And the reason for that was that at the time that this had occurred, it was again 4 years ago, it was the same month that my father was murdered. I was not in the best emotional state. Those of you who know me know how important my father was to me. Without my father, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be able to do what I do. I was blessed with two wonderful parents. And you guys know I was not the easiest kid coming up. I was a handful, to say the least, and certainly needed a firm hand. And my father provided that, but he also provided a lot of love and guidance, wisdom. He was the architect of the foundation of my family. You see, when he was taken away, those that did the deed thought that the foundation would crumble, but he did a good job, a wonderful job. And he yeah, let me
He did a wonderful job.
did a wonderful job, yeah.
I know it is a sentimental time for your family, and we express our sympathies, and we know that today is a trying day for you. Good night, Mr. John Wade. JB, welcome. We want to get some translations in Maya and then in Spanish.
Can I just say the Coy case in Spanish?
Okay, sure.
Bueno, tenemos una invitación a la señora Coy que para declarar o darle una oportunidad a la señora. Sabemos que ese proceso no fue discutido internamente, sino fue en público. Es un proceso que no debería ser así. ¿Sí? Y no le dieron una oportunidad. Así que estamos invitando a la señora Coy esta noche o cualquier otra noche jueves, cuando estamos en ayuntamiento en línea, para que ella pueda darle una oportunidad a la gente, nuestro votante y todo, y dice qué ocurrió entre usted y ella. Así que tenemos esa invitación a la señora.
Right. I did nothing wrong, and I maintain that I did nothing wrong. The only thing I did was a stupid thing in not having prepared and signed and having her sign a retainer agreement. And I have lived to regret that. I also did an even more stupid thing by listening to somebody at the time that I trusted, who gave assurances that once the matter was settled, that would have been the end of it, and I could have gone on to represent the people of the Belize Rural North. I did what was asked of me and found out that it was actually a lie that was told to me. But that's water under the bridge. I move on. I'm here. I have health, I have strength, I have will, and I'm prepared to serve.
And will you have? We have seen that will been tested over the past few weeks. And we'll get to that point, but we'll go into a little bit of Maya to
Right.
explain the case before we continue.
Yes,
Right.
what we had last week
Mhm.
was a team of attorneys that came from Trinidad and Tobago to assist me in a challenge to the trustees of the party in their position to declare that I was not eligible to be a candidate in the Belmopan convention. the trustees last week were not prepared to argue their position in relation to the application for injunction or interim relief. As a result, the matter was put back for tomorrow, 6th of July, to be heard.
Creo que usa le llaman, bueno, cabano les quasquitin, pero que usa le llaman kinome, con que le abogado, le shintawa pese Trinidad y Tobago, porque muko anakera rashin, mana anakera ti shikse re candidato re Belmopan. Shintawa pero tante real re churo sale hu le constitution le POP na ma aero te manhom.
Yes.
It Congress in derecho na hona kin kwan kore candidato se Belmopan. Anche usale shaman na kwan aye kun shamana na kwan mahula viernes en aranas rapinkil aero operechos.
Now, as a result, it was our expectation that tomorrow the hearing would take place. However, a couple of days ago, there was a press conference held by the chairman of the party in which the olive branch was extended. And I've accepted that olive branch because that is one of the main purposes for which the challenge was brought, to be able to be given that opportunity to be among those persons offering themselves as candidates in the convention to serve you, the people of Belmopan.
Kwang since all na hula viernes kwarat kwabek aero operechos pero sale shamanete le martes, that was Tuesday, sale martes le comité de POP Ciudad Belize que kwang se usil reheb na se ehonin chines invitari na kamoko tento tato shiksekor ona ka chuno ke e ona ka be rusil rotan hona kin shipre candidato se Belmopan.
Yes. Now, the other major reason why the challenge was brought was to set a precedent, a legal precedent to protect anybody else who would come after me in any party in Belize from being subjected to arbitrary, capricious actions tainted by bad faith.
Uite pa jana sing ko se court ke sing ko o perché uite sbano quella in anhone che sbano reatela ni sale na chakre di Cristian tera ship candidato mare mo kotesh ketare o kana sing ka resin chola in atento tesh e oportunidad perché mo ko kata ke ko la kabe mare o ke res bano jiro kala.
The rights of every Belizean is important and should and must be protected. If it takes me to ensure that that happens, then I have done a good thing, I believe.
Lir reatiala ani ithana squara shibano o patuin kotum jiruna lir reatiala ani was so freezing is chiquing kuitra shikre kama candidato se cualquier constituency se Belize ona bane opana shink ench ola ena shintele camino cualquier ani tara shik ona shik chicharo.
We're a democracy. Belmopan is the seat of democracy. And if we will not fight for democracy here, where else will we fight for democracy in Belize?
Libro, we macha naka nakil kip us se Belize, bar chipresa, ruchi chocha, to ship wing anaka nakil kip sa lika partido.
One of the things we have to look at, Arthur, is that to make clear to the public the series of events that happened and why it was important for you to defend what you felt was an injustice being done to you. And what we have to explain that from the outset, the committee to elect Arthur Saldivar, along with our candidate, was of the firmest belief that Arthur was never on indefinite suspension as it was claimed. Then there was a unconstitutional charge, it is a charge saying that you would have been placed on a 2-year probation, which is nowhere in our regulations, or what you call it, the constitution of the party. And therefore it was important for us to go to the full extent to clear your name in those extents. And I think this was done because what we need to let the public know that our fight for getting you heard is now being answered.
Right. In fact,
Alright?
what we can say in no uncertain terms is that our position has been vindicated by the affidavit that was presented to my attorneys and that was fleshed out in the press conference a couple days ago, where the party trustees indicated that they are reopening the convention period for application, and I'm being invited to apply once more. As you know, I had applied twice before, so this is going to be my 3 times before. This is going to be my 4th application. So we believe that 4 is going to be the new 4 is going to be the charm, no? Yes. So I will do that. As I said, my intent, my desire, and my purpose is to serve, and serve well the people of Belmopan, all the people of Belmopan. Being an original Belmopanese is not only a superficial distinction, it is the essence of who I am. I am a child of Belmopan, growing up in an era when we could have left our doors open and sleep without fear that our homes would be invaded and our families put in danger. We had that kind of security in Belmopan because when we came to Belmopan, we came under the belief and understanding that this community was earmarked for prosperity and harmony, and we had it for more than 25 years. It gradually has declined, and precipitously so, under John Saldivar, who has been our only UDP representative. Put that in your pipe and smoke it, because at the end of the day, our decline can be charted back to 13 years ago. 2003, 15 years ago. 2003 to 2018, the John Saldiva era, has marked the worst time in the history of Belmopan as it relates to prosperity and harmony. Let them not talk about cemented streets, because Belmopan has always had the best infrastructure in Belize. In fact, the newest streets are the least sound because they were hurriedly built only for the hustle, and many of them are deteriorating rapidly. Cosmetic treatment of existing infrastructure simply to pad the pockets of elected officials, especially the area rep. We are better than this. We deserve better than this. And I will offer better than this.
All right. And one of the things we have to look at is the affidavit of Henry Usher that he has filed in court, where as far as the fifth point is concerned, which is a public vindication, the National Executive has further decided that any application made by the claimant is to be accepted and considered on the merits as if the disciplinary action and suspension about which he complained has not occurred. All right, so they can't even bring that back again. They can't come back and say he's on the indefinite suspension. They have, as far as I'm concerned, vindicated our point that you were never on suspension. And that point 5 itself, for me, is what we were always standing at, or as a point, that was a lie. You were never suspended. So now the doors have been opened, free, clear, and applying. So tomorrow there is no court case, because tomorrow was just for an injunction to ensure that they did not go ahead with the convention that was slated for this Sunday.
Yes.
But they have agreed, and so there is no need for an injunction because there is no convention.
Right.
All right?
And I have accepted the invitation to reapply.
Yes.
And I am thankful for the maturity that has come to the fore. I am certainly grateful that our chairman has seen the light.
All right, and we're thankful too. We have Mr. Martin Cal giving you all the love. So thank you, Mr. Cal.
Thank you.
Okay, before we go on, we say good night to Mr. Paul Thompson. We thank you for joining us. Mr. Moses Self says, for will open the doors. It's very simple. For will open the doors. It's very simple. Let them make their decision. All right. You also, let's say good night to Dr. Agar, who's watching. Mr. Castillo says, big up to Studio 21 and the crew for airing this information town hall from the heart of the nation's capital, Belmopan.
Yes.
All right.
Dr. Agar, I want to take you up on your offer and have us walk Belmopan together. I know, and I've said this before, that there are many in Belmopan who appreciate and have continued to appreciate the work that you have done in this constituency, and who still look up to you as I do. I have known you from your time in Benqueviejo. Not many of you knew, but I did spend some time in Benqueviejo as well. And that's where I first met Dr. Agar. And I know him to be a good man. I appreciate his mentorship over the years, and I look forward to having the opportunity to walk in Belmopan with you. We want to be able to have our people understand that the PUP tent in Belmopan is a big tent. We intend to be inclusive, to bring true unity and establish an effective coalition of people who want to see Belmopan progress and develop in the right way, to come on board. Whether you are a supporter of Dr. Yeager back in the day, of the Honorable Sam Waite back in the day, or Patrick Andrews. I don't know what Mr. Andrews' thinking is. I hope that he considers entering the race, because the door has been opened for him as well. So I am appreciative of the fact that with this opportunity comes the responsibility to unite PUPs in Belmopan. We may have a spirited convention, but a convention of PUPs should never be a divisive exercise. Let's elevate the political discourse in Belmopan and in Belize. Make this convention a contest of ideas. Ideas on how we develop our constituency for the benefit of all our people. A convention that brings us back to our root philosophy of social justice, self-determination, economic development. We want to be able to move from strength to strength, having those disaffected UDPs in Belmopan, those who have seen the true nature of John Saldivar, to have them appreciate that under the PUP tent, you will also be welcome to join in bringing about the change necessary to have prosperity reign and opportunities afforded to all. We are not seeking to pursue political tribalism. We are seeking to have the political vehicle of the People's United Party be used as an implement of change to bring about an era of collective prosperity, collective responsibility, so that a legacy of progress can be left for future generations.
Okay, and with that said, we have seen democracy working. From Mr. Big Hand Banner, author, can you elaborate on the upcoming referendum and your position on going to the ICJ?
Yes, Mr. Banner. The upcoming referendum is the most important event in the young history of Belize. It is one that poses an existential question that must be answered. Do we want to play Russian roulette with our country and its territorial integrity by subjecting our country to the will of a strange court? My answer to the question of whether we go to the ICJ or not is a resounding no. And I believe I will wear the badge of crazy like a badge of honor, Mr. Banner, I don't care if Sir Ellington called me crazy. If Sir Ellington calls me crazy, I consider that a badge of honor. You can call me crazy, but don't call me stupid. Because only a stupid person would vote yes. I am totally against the indoctrination that the government and the other institutions that supports the government seeks to push down the throat of the Belizean people by forcing on us a yes position. That is not an education process. It's an indoctrination or a brainwashing exercise and should be resisted at all costs. Education is about giving individuals information upon which they can make up their own minds. It's not about giving a one-sided view of a situation so that you are left with no option and then using the boogeyman of a military to say, oh, this is a big bad wolf at your doorstep. If you don't go this way, he's going to eat you. Man, that is a coward's way out. That is not a leader talking, that's a coward. So, at all cost, resist. There is not only one way to resolve this issue. There are so many other options that have yet to be tried. So for them to come and say that the only thing on the table to resolve this peacefully is to go to court, that's a lie. That is unadulterated bullshit. And we must not accept it.
All right. Now that we have said these things in English for English speakers, we have our Spanish speakers, we have our Maya speakers, because they are a part of Belmopan, and we want to send this message right. So again, I will ask you to repeat it slowly so that we can translate first in, or no, we can do it, we can say it first in Spanish and then in Maya.
El martes, la semana pasada, el presidente del Partido del Pueblo y su grupo llamaron una conferencia de prensa donde dieron luz a lo que, bueno, ellos sabían que hicieron un error o tienen una posición que no es fundado de algo concreto. En su declaración, el presidente del partido, especialmente el número 5, donde Arturo tal vez usted puede explicar un poco más, pero el número 5, punto número 5 que él dijo es el siguiente: el Ejecutivo Nacional ha decidido, además de cualquier solicitud hecha por el demandante, que es usted, debe ser aceptada y considerada. Son palabras muy importantes para nosotros, especialmente los votantes. Aceptada y considerada en cuanto al fondo, como si las acciones disciplinarias y la suspensión, que supuestamente hubo una suspensión, sobre las que se queja no hubieran ocurrido. No hubieran ocurrido.
Sí.
¿Puede explicar, don Arturo?
Bueno, la cosa que usted estaba leyendo, este párrafo del affidavit de nuestro presidente, Henry Osher, está explicando que ahora el partido está invitándome a poner mi aplicación nuevamente para consideración a ser un candidato de la convención que viene, agosto 26. de este año. Estoy muy contento, muy alegre con esta noticia, porque es un gran parte de la razón que me llevaba a los oficiales del partido a corte. Y ahora esta noticia está diciendo que voy a tener la habilidad a poner mi aplicación y voy a tener la gran posibilidad de ser un candidato en la convención.
Número 3 dijo que también es el comité presidente del partido. Reconoce que si se impidió ilícitamente al demandante, que es usted, participar en el convenio del Belmopan, habría sufrido una pérdida que no puede ser reparada por daños y por juicios.
Eso es. No, es muy importante, porque hay un gran parte de la población que está recibiendo esta mentira, que este caso es un caso por plata. Y plata estaba un interés que yo tengo, es el interés más grande que yo tengo. Es una mentira, es una gran mentira, porque este caso es un caso para declaraciones. Los órdenes del corte que yo quiero es solamente declaraciones. Declaraciones que soy un miembro del partido sin problema, sin restricción. ¿Sí? No es para plata. La única razón que la plata está adentro de los papeles del caso es para mostrar que me gastan una gran cantidad de plata a preparar por esta convención. Me costó mucho. Sí. Necesito mostrar esto para el corte a conocer que hay una cosa seria. ¿Sí? Let me explain that in English, because I want my people to understand, and I want the people of Belmopan to understand. There have been a number of lies and misrepresentations made about the case brought before the court, and I want you to understand and know that these things are being said simply to misinform. What had been sought in court, and is still being sought in court, are declarations. Declarations as to the quality of my membership in our great party. Declarations as to whether or not the constitution of our party was being respected and followed. Declarations as to natural justice rights that all of us have, and whether those natural justice rights were applied. This was not a case about money. The only reason why money and the amount that has been spent in preparation for the convention thus far had to be made a part of the pleadings to show the court that money has been spent. Therefore, injury would occur if the court did not intervene. The trustees of the party understood this, and I am appreciative of that fact. This is the reason why they have now come to the table to say you can apply. But I want you to know that all this could have been avoided and should have been avoided. As you know, having been a part of this town hall for as long as we have been doing it, that I have kept you abreast every step of the way about how we were going about informing the trustees of our intentions after they had not responded to the letters sent by the committee. We exhausted every internal avenue to ensure that we gave the trustees a chance to keep this situation in-house. I didn't want to do this. I didn't want to take the trustees to court. I was unwilling and reluctant to do this. But I did it for you, for your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, so that if they should ever aspire to serve their community, their country, by using a political party as the vehicle for that service, that they would not be visited with the same treatment that was attempted to be foisted upon me. I have no qualms providing this service. This is what I'm here to do, serve the people. It's what George Price charges every PUP to do, serve the people. So I've given service, I am giving service, and I will continue to serve the people. I ask you now for your support so that I can continue in a more official capacity to serve you.
Okay. Emilio Zabani writes, I would like the world to know that Arthur has my support and friend on the national executive. Arthur has been my friend and I fully support Arthur. Not based on my friendship only, but based on what I believe to be right. And I'm happy where we are today with this situation.
Thank you very much, Emilio. That means a lot to me.
The people have spoken, yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right. We also have, and then you have the, some translation that we want to go with the ICJ. As far as the Mayan translation, your position on the ICJ. If you could go back to that, please, and so that we can get some of that for our audience who are here in Belmopan, that understands more when you talk to them in Maya.
My position on the ICJ is that we should not go. I recommend, my position is voting no. I am voting no to the ICJ.
But the ICJ, the court, the sponsor, Ruche George, Machikle Belize, e Guatemala, the ICJ. Uito Shik, Yokati Home Brena, and Pato Shik, Yokati Home Brena Hinka. In position line, Mokoshik Take, in Anapato Shikara.
I want to say that I heard the foreign minister speak tonight and saying that he has worked for 60 years to find a solution to this Guatemalan question. He is lying. Yes.
Benosali Malaksali News, Kistelica Foreign Minister. Na 60 años per luchar en Kil, Yamokoto, Shiktase.
I give Sede Elrington 5 Pinocchios for that. He would have only been 8 years old if he was working for 60 years for such a solution. 5 Pinocchios.
Please, I can translate it. Okay. Mene akak kira se ingkila akasle malak Christiana. Ha kwashakip ha kwankre. Na George peleti komre to shikse ICJ.
Now, he says that anybody who suggests that we should not go to the ICJ is crazy. I am willing to wear my crazy as a badge of honor. Better to be called crazy than to be called stupid or Guatemalan.
Dios te hona moko na katele na moko to shikta meno lokiru. Ito online na no ana kwa shikpes loki.
City Elrington is saying that they are going to start a brainwashing exercise, an indoctrination campaign.
Dios te hona okay resh kutba rebli Christian na tentote shik.
But they are going to mislabel it and call it education.
Pero que resh halom lesh angele moko ste balta na rearan le Dios te hona na kakile le tes amche tu sobre Christian kamale educación.
I'm here to tell you the truth.
Yo te home re.
And I'm not going to hold back when it comes to telling you the truth. In going to the ICJ, the judges at the ICJ will not only be looking at the historical, factual position of the two countries. But they will also be looking at our socio-economic and political positions. The Belizean House is not in order. We are on the verge, if not already over the edge, of being a failed state. As a result of this, when our question goes to the ICJ, if we are so foolish to take it there, the reality of our situation is going to be weighed against the situation of Guatemala, a more powerful, a more sophisticated, and a more just society in relation to what they do with corruption. As a result, it is my firm belief that going to the ICJ, we will lose. And when we do, City Elrington will not be here. Dean Barrow will not be here. John Saldiva will not be here. Well, I don't know where he'll go. I don't know where I want to go because he'll lose a visa. But he may go to Colombia. He may go to Colombia. I will put up a picture to show you why I believe John Saldiva will go to Colombia should we lose to the ICJ. Should we lose in the ICJ. But they will not stay with us in Belize. If we go to the ICJ, we will lose a great opportunity to have economic independence and prosperity because a huge chunk of our country will be gone. The people who are pushing the yes vote have sold us out.
El cristiano le toca el hombre na to shik so es ahí.
And they want all of us to be accomplices to this treason.
Ite ra na to shik chi shep la o kamal le tonto.
I say no.
Chunti omere na.
You're on your own.
Okay, ya ere
We are not going.
mogo ship ta.
It makes no sense to go.
Moko usta.
And then member MH says, then what is your solution to settling the dispute between Belize and Guatemala?
The solution to settling the dispute between Belize and Guatemala lies in the 9th treaty that was signed between Britain and Guatemala, had as its linchpin Article 7. Article 7 was the clause that called for Britain to assist Guatemala in building a road connecting Guatemala City to the Bay of Amatique on its Atlantic coast. The road from the Pacific to Guatemala City was already built. Guatemala, the Pacific. We must remember that back then, there was no Panama Canal. It didn't exist. That dry canal is as important today as it was back then. All storms that affect the Atlantic seaboard comes off the coast of Africa and travels up north. A hurricane reaches Panama before it gets to Belize, coming along that path. So by having the dry canal, which Guatemala is still pursuing, you can still have uninterrupted commercial trade taking place by way of the sea, even in times when storms may be out in the Pacific or the Atlantic, by having this area of diversion. So there is still that chance to have that be a viable economic solution. Listen, Guatemala doesn't want Belize just for the sake of wanting it, because just to say that we have more land. They want it because they see the economic potential and they understand what is at stake for them should they get an opportunity to have it. But we can forego all of that by putting in place a comprehensive economic development plan that allows for us to adequately integrate our strength with what Guatemala also has to offer. A mutual cooperation accord for economic prosperity. I have floated one already. I will float it again. But my area of concentration at this time has to be, and my focus has to be, Belmopan. I will, however, reintroduce you to that economic plan because it ties in to what Guatemala has always wanted in terms of the access to the Atlantic and the Pacific for trade purposes. We know what they want, but the reason why our leaders have not done anything about accomplishing it is because they want to keep the population dependent on them. Only through your connection with the political leaders can you advance. That is not democracy. That's exploitation at its worst. They have kept the economic doors of Belize closed. It's time to open it. It's long past time to open it. It is time to put the economic engine of Belize in the hands of the private sector for them to drive this economy. We need to have a government that understands that only the private sector can create wealth. The public sector is a consumer, not a producer. When we understand this and put it into effect, then and only then will we find a long, meaningful, sustainable resolution between ourselves and Guatemala. The Guatemalan private sector is booming. Take a trip. Go to Guatemala City. Go see Cayala. Go see what they have been able to do with their infrastructure and where their allegiances and where their alliances have gone. While we have regressed, they have progressed. There was one true statement made by Senator Elrington on the newscast tonight. We have lost our allies. But whose fault is that? Whose fault is that? We still have an overpaid and pampered foreign service and foreign ministry. So many diplomats flying high and jet-setting all over the world, but producing very little for us. Long gone are the days when Belize could have boasted leadership on the foreign stage. Long gone are the times when we had friends like Omar Torrijos of Panama and others who would have given arms, material, and personnel to assist in our defense. Why? Because our diplomats find it better to go to parties and functions than to actually do the business of developing relations, long-lasting, meaningful relations with countries that can assist. So now, they are telling us, Senator Lincoln is telling us that we are behind the 8 ball and we have to do this. That's not true. Get rid of these lazy people, retire them, open up the foreign ministry for young, bright minds to come in who understand what internationalization means and understand that we need to go back into the internationalization of our situation with a view to making economic connections for an economic resolution of this issue. Again, this was not our problem, and it's not our problem. It's a British problem. And it should not be for us to solve it with Guatemala as adversaries, but for us to join with Guatemala to have Britain take it on. Why are we giving a pass to the British? Are we so generous or are we so stupid? They were the ones who created this. It's time for us to have true diplomats return to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Diplomats like Bobby Leslie, who would not ever agree with going to the ICJ, and I know he is not crazy.
Okay. All right. And I will publicly say that I will also, quite frankly, do all I can to convince people to say no to the ICJ. I agree with you 100%. Miss Corona Bonilla says, thank you for educating us about the ICJ and your and your standpoint on the entire matter. It is very much appreciated.
Carolina Bonilla.
Sorry, Carolina Bonilla.
Thank you, Carolina.
Willie B ask you, what is your solution to the Belmopan families that have been removed of their lands?
Will it be? Today I was visited by the patriarch of one of those families in Belmopan. He was given a letter from Ricandev giving him the authority to occupy and develop the land. he has since put a home on that land. He was given this letter in 2012. By 2013, they were canceling him. Even after he paid $390, they stopped accepting his money. I am in the process now of bringing that matter to court. But I don't want to use this forum for legal issues. But I will address this issue from the social standpoint. What is happening in Belmopan, in Mayamopan, Salvapan, and our peripheral communities is criminal. Ricandev is threatening to have the GSU go into the communities to break down people's homes. They're arbitrarily canceling land leases and dispossessing families in that area for one reason and one reason only. They are not supporting the UDP. This is unconstitutional. It is wrong, and it will be resisted and fought vigorously. So, will it be, to answer your question, I'm in the process of addressing this. You will be seeing me in the not too distant future with this issue publicly, apart from this forum. John Saldiva and his puppets at City Hall and Ricandev need to be put on notice that you don't put Belizean families on the street. You find ways to ensure that roof be kept over the heads of our people. These are not squatters, man. These are not squatters that I'm talking about. These are people who have actual authority to be on the land they occupied. But we know what this economy has become. We know it is very hard for people to find work. We cannot punish them, further punish them, when they cannot find work and means to make ends meet by putting them out on the street. That's wrong. That's inhumane.
All right. Mamba
MH.
MH writes, what will be your next step if PUP rejects your application, as your application will be going through due process that includes a vetting process?
I do not anticipate a problem, and I will not be premature. I will rest on the assurance that good faith will be applied. I believe that the eyes of the nation is on the trustees of the party, and I will take them at their word. So I will not venture to be premature. But rest assured, I'm a thinking man.
We, a while ago, looked back at some of the decisions that will need to be made for Belmopan. In your capacity, you should become leader
Leader of what?
of the Belmopan people.
Okay.
All right, working along, and also not. I shouldn't say leader. I should say representative of the Belmopanese. It is important for people to understand what you would like to see happening in Belmopan. I would like one main plan that you, or your vision that you see Belmopan threading through very soon.
Well, in order for us to achieve greater economic prosperity in Belmopan, we have to look seriously at the expansion of the city beyond the rivers, the Belize and the Sibun. We have to engender to have the economic engine of Belmopan be jump-started. And the only way we are going to be able to do that is to apply EPZ status and CFZ status to the new development of Belmopan. establishing commercial free zone with shopping and tourism development as its foundation, and establishing export processing zones, a 500-acre industrial park facility to create industrial and manufacturing jobs here in Belmopan. Belmopan is a logistics hub. When you look at it from an economic standpoint, we're only 50 miles away from almost every major population center in the country outside of Orange Walk, which we're only 37 miles away from. So as an internal entrepot for the production and distribution of goods, Belmopan can provide that function. It will introduce new dimensions and countless opportunities for employment for our residents, and it will transform our city into a metropolis. Now, it has to be done in conjunction with a greater plan for the country. But these things are doable, especially when you consider that Belmopan is an international city. It is the seat of many embassies. Apart from that, we have to ensure that as the capital, Belmopan is not only the seat of parliament, but the home of the head of the government. The Prime Minister should be residing in Belmopan, and a worthy compound for our Prime Minister should be built here so that he can entertain dignitaries and be close to Parliament at all times. We should not only be having House meetings once every 3 months, especially when we are faced with the crisis we are faced with today. We don't want a part-time Prime Minister. We need a full-time hand at the wheel. We also would want in Belmopan a proper military presence. This is the capital. We want to have a garrison of men in Belmopan at all times from our defense force. Again, this will be a boost to the Belmopan economy. And I'm not talking about the Price Barracks type construction that we see. For the life of me, I cannot understand why our military is housed in these chicken wire establishments. It's not befitting of a security force. You need to build a proper barracks with 11 feet high walls that are 2 feet thick. No man, you don't put up a chicken wire fence and expect that your armory will be safe. How many times have the armory at Price Barracks been broken into and arms taken away? It's a disaster, man. But in Belmopan, as a part of our development and expansion, we must include a proper military barracks to house a garrison here in the capital. We are the capital.
Okay. I seem to have made Mr. Marshall McKeezy somewhat uneasy. As we have said before, each and every person's question is important, and we are trying to get to the questions as much as we can, and we will not overshadow one person's question as more important than another. We're all equal. But Mr. Bakizi says, Ms. Moderator, it seems that you are unable to bring forth serious issues to Mr. Saldivar. I'm certain those listening would like to hear Otter's response to my question. Or is it Sorry, or is this show just another face and stage? It's a farce and stage. The question of what will he do about the obvious illegal and unlawful issuance of citizenship to Guatemalans. I have to look back for his question. I did not see a question that he brought forth before,
No,
but
my position on that issue is very clear, Mr. McKeezy. The Constitution is very clear.
oh,
As you know, in my own political institution, I have fought and am fighting for the respect of the Constitution. I certainly would not want it any other way in relation to the Constitution of Belize. It must be respected. As long as Guatemala has a claim on Belize, the Constitution provides an expressed prohibition. I do not agree with others who have said that by virtue of what has transpired before, that Guatemalan citizenship, Guatemalans given Belizean citizenship is okay. It's not okay, and it could never be legal because it is not constitutional. A breach of the Constitution cannot be remedied by time. It can only be remedied by a ratification or changing of the law. The Constitution itself has to be changed for that to be made legal. So none of those persons, whether it be 30 or 30,000, can be called Belizean. We are perpetuating a lie, and we're accepting it as fact. And it seems that that has been the modus operandi and normalcy here in Belize, to accept lies as fact. But we have to stop this nonsense because it is to our detriment. 30,000 is not a small number. Now I will tell you, Mr. McKeezy, there are some Belizeans who are born in Guatemala. And you will ask me, how may that be? Well, in Benqueviejo, a town within which I have lived, it had been the practice in the past for pregnant Belizean mothers to go across the border to Melchor to have their children, because the hospital in Melchor was closer than the hospital in San Ignacio. And the road at that time was bad, was terrible. An expectant mother could not have been expected to take that journey from Benqueviejo to San Ignacio in those days. So there are many Belizeans who were born in Guatemala in the Melchor hospital. Many came back across with their mothers as newborn babies, and they were registered in Belize. But their birthplace, their place of birth is Guatemala. Persons like Alexis Rosado, the ambassador, who is trying to take us to the ICJ, born in Guatemala.
all right.
Just saying.
Moses Self writes, can a citizen group apply to the Supreme Court for an injunction to stop government of Belize and the Immigration and the Nationality Department from issuing nationality and residence to Guatemalans until the unfounded claim is resolved? And what would be this process?
Well, if I heard the Attorney General correct, I believe that the government has taken this upon themselves to do. I will have to listen to the newscast again tonight, because I am of the belief, from what I heard originally, that he is saying that there is some kind of moratorium, that new persons will not be granted citizenship, those applying from Guatemala. But he is rationalizing that the 30,000 that are already here and have already been given citizenship, that they would not be touched. And I heard a lawyer this morning on Love FM, and she may be listening. She normally listens in, and I know there are more than seven of you listening right now. She was saying that it would be tantamount to a fishing expedition, that you would have to narrow down the basis of your claim in order to get the court to be moved to give a decision. A number of attorneys presently are looking at this issue, including myself, with a view to doing just what you are suggesting, Moses, which is to challenge the practice in court. And we should be in a position to do that shortly. As you know, I've been doing my own situation, my own thing right now in terms of going through my own legal process. But I'm dedicating time to doing the research to get this done. So very soon, we will have an opinion upon which we can make a move on. So it is in the works. I have some friends of mine who want to establish an organization similar or parallel to the ACLU, and I've been recommending that an NGO type institution would be the best way to go about that, so that we can have a collection of resources in terms of human resources to attack these kinds of issues for the benefit of the Belizean people. We have only had, in terms of advocacy groups where the law is concerned, the Human Rights Commission, who have been working on behalf of prisoners mainly, but we need another watchdog legal group to address some of the other abuses of our rights. So this is something that we are earnestly looking at, and I will be in a position to discuss this more as we go forward.
All right, we are fast running out of time. It's 6 minutes to 10. We didn't see that time flying. But just before we go, we want to say hi to all our persons who are sending you love. Wendy, Miss Christina, but you also have blessings from Redbone. You have a few more questions and congratulations, where Michelle Trapp writes, congratulations on your stance. It's a bold move, should, as what you did, that was lucky. Your friend is smiling down, shall not play. You also have Miss, I had another one. One more. Where is the government and the opposition making alternative plans for Belize losing its case to the ICJ? Do you know anything about that?
Don't depend on the government and the opposition. We, the people, have to be the ones to save the country. Philip Golson said this famously: the time to save your country is before you lose it. Voting yes to the ICJ is giving it away. Don't support laziness. Don't support mediocrity. Do not support stupidity by voting yes. Support, promote, and preserve Belize, our beloved country. The ICJ is not the answer. We need not go there. In 1930, when the British wanted to take Guatemala to the ICJ, Guatemala was a fledgling state. Britain was a superpower, and Guatemala did not go. Did Britain invade them? So all this talk about Guatemala invading us, it's a scare tactic. They are trying to instill fear in you. That is the talk of a coward, not a leader. You don't try to scare your people into a position. You educate them and allow for them to make up their own minds. You don't try to coerce them. Whenever you're being coerced into a position, understand it's not in your interest. Fear is never a good motivator for you to do anything to your benefit. Normally, when you do things as a result of fear, you lose. So don't let fear be instilled in you. This nonsense about Guatemala is military. Guatemala has fought no international war. The Guatemalan army has been known to rape and pillage peasants. They have never fought their neighbor Mexico. They lost the Yucatan without a shot being fired. And that is the army we are supposed to tremble at, to be fearful of. The army that has decimated and massacred farmers, old women and children. That's who we should be afraid of. Well, of course, people like Sede will be scared. Look at him.
Will be says, God bless you and put God in all your plans. Mr. Bermuda says, preach on, brother. While Mr. Raymond A.E. Isigeri writes, Guatemala's unfounded claim is a Belizean problem to resolve now more than ever than it is for the British to do. This is a reality that was forced upon us by individuals who lacked foresight. It is more so for us to do now to do more than ever before, especially that our political leaders have placed us in such distinct disadvantage. Mr. Wilfred Arrington has single-handedly complicated the issue when he signed on to the prospect of taking the dispute before a third party to be resolved.
Not only that, he signed a compromise that was written in Hebrew, a language he does not read or understand.
All right, he continues.
No, that is not only crazy, that is stupid.
Mr. Isigeri continues by saying, remember, his administration did this without consulting Belizeans first. The news media should know best not to allow Mr. Arrington any more song bites. He makes Belizean appear to be just as stupid as he is.
There was a Japanese woman in World War II that they called Tokyo Rose. And Tokyo Rose was a propagandist, you see. And she was known to speak to the Japanese people in their own native tongue. British propaganda. Tokyo Rose. Now, as it turned out, she was on the side of the victor. But history still hasn't treated her kind. She is the Benedict Arnold of World War II. We have our own Benedict Arnold in Belize. And he spares no opportunity to revel in his treachery. And it's so sad that he has so many followers. He is he's a Pied Piper of treason. But before I leave tonight, I want to go on a positive note. A lot of people in our city and in our country have had the bad experience of going to the lands department, that hotbed of corruption, to be disappointed time and time again when it comes to dealing with their land issues. There's a concept that I want you, the viewers and the listeners of this program, to hear, research, and next week we will flesh it out fully. It's the concept of title insurance. Those of you in the United States would know of this. If you have entered into a mortgage or bought property in the US, title insurance exists as a safeguard to the parties to a land transaction. In every land transaction in Belize, there are three parties: the buyer, the seller, and the government of Belize. We want to introduce a fourth party, the title insurer. The title insurer is a legal underwriter of the transaction that will safeguard the validity of the title that you, the buyer, and the seller are engaged to exchange. The title insurer has the responsibility not only to research the root of title, but to ensure that the title to the property for which you are engaged in a transaction is good. The insurable interest is in the title. This is one of the ways to reducing corruption in the lands department. When we have that entity of the private sector safeguarding the validity of the title, the mischief at lands that is being perpetuated by ministers and public servants alike in some quarters. And when I say public servants, we have to be careful because the professional public service has been undermined by the practice of ministers to bring their cronies from their districts into Belmopan to carry out their bidding. So many times good public servants get blamed for the actions of cronies in the Ministry of Lands. We want to stamp that out. You stamp that out by giving the private sector oversight in the lands department through title insurance. Don't let them tell you this cannot be fixed. It can be fixed by the stroke of a pen, enabling title insurance. Research it. We'll discuss it. I will lay it out for you even more on the next town hall. But put that in your cap. Think about it for the week. And let's discuss it next week. Thank you for joining me. God bless Belmopan. Until we meet again. Love you all.
From Studio 21, we say good night. Special good night to Miss Males, and to our very own Senator Mark Lizarraga. Thank you for joining us. Tune in again next week at 8 for another in the series of our online town hall meeting. Thank you.
Buenas noches.
Buenas noches.
Noches a todos.